What's up, guys, and welcome back to a third episode of the MedPorium podcast. And with these podcasts, we're basically going to start off with just a random scenario that just came up on our mind. So, one scenario that I actually talked about with chat is: would you rather have a doctor that's like very knowledgeable? Let's say he came from Harvard and he or she knows everything about the human body, and they just have terrible bedside manner. Like, they can't talk, they just don't show empathy, they just know everything. Or would you rather have a doctor that doesn't know everything, isn't very knowledgeable, but they have excellent bedside manner? They could talk with you and empathize with you, or sympathize, or I always get those two mixed up, but you know what I mean? Like, a doctor that has really good bedside manner but isn't as knowledgeable, or a doctor that's very knowledgeable but doesn't have great bedside manner?
I feel like, given with the present scenario, this is a very easy question to answer. I feel like there is only one correct answer here, and that correct answer is the second option: a doctor with great bedside manner.
Yeah.
And someone who is understanding and empathetic. And sure, you can just say, oh, well, that's what, a psychiatrist is, or, a therapist. But if we look at the present situation, I've sometimes shadowed doctors, and I've shadowed many doctors and worked with many doctors, and being a scribe and a medical assistant, and I've worked with very excellent doctors who have amazing bedside manner, but who aren't the most knowledgeable themselves. Like, they're not the best, they're not Harvard educated. They have a medical degree and they work at the hospital, and not only do they make the patients' lives better in sort of like the mental side, but everyone wants to work with them. The nurses feel better. You can kind of see that the vibes are just a different. It's just not as kind of overworked, if you kind of get the gist. But whenever I was working with the guys who were really knowledgeable and couldn't really communicate, the doctors who couldn't really communicate, they would just list these things out. They would be a robot. They would just push through a lot of surgeries, and sometimes they can be very knowledgeable, but if they're pushing through a lot of these surgeries and they're like a robot and they roll through these things, their kind of quality drops. Sure, they know everything, but I kind of noticed their quality kind of drops in care. They have low ratings. But now, or you answer your question, give me your thoughts, and I'll put a twist to this, a very interesting twist.
Well, for me, it just depends on the scenario, because in general, I'd want my doctor to have really good bedside manner. I want him or her to be able to talk to me, to be able to, talk as a human being, not just someone that's diagnosing me, or someone that's just asking like 100 questions just to know what disease I have. Like, someone that I can actually talk to, so that I can, if I build that relationship with my doctor, that friendly relationship, then I'll be able to be more comfortable discussing, private things in my
Yeah.
health, in terms of my health. But there are also certain scenarios, like things of like serious diseases. Like, if we're talking about terminal cancer, if we're talking about like type 2 diabetes, maybe that can, so a patient that has gangrene, or you really want someone to have answers for you. And although, yes, they can sympathize with you and stuff like that, but there comes a point in time where you want answers. And it's true that not every doctor knows every answer, and that's totally fine, because we're human. At the end of the day, doctors are human. They're not like an AI that can answer every question. But if there is a doctor that can at least get close to your question, close to your diagnosis, I kind of think of this person as like Dr. House. Dr. House is fictional, but
Yeah.
he has terrible bedside manner. He's the worst doctor. If he was real, he would be kicked out. He would be fired because of all the unethical and unmoral things he says. But he always gets down to the diagnosis. And yes, it's a TV show and it's all dramatized and all that crap, but he still gets to the diagnosis and saves lives. So although he's very cynical and very unethical, he's very knowledgeable in what he does, and he has that experience that those knowledgeable doctors have. So I'd just to summarize, I'd say if that doctor is like my primary care physician, I want them to have really good bedside manner. But if it is a specialist or someone that if I might have like a terminal disease, I might have a very serious disease, I want to have a knowledgeable doctor. I want someone to be very knowledgeable. Nurses are really great at bedside manner. That'll cover the bedside manner part of everything. But in terms of specialists, I definitely say I want someone that's very knowledgeable, even if the bedside manner still lacks.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like it's just dependent on scenario.
Yeah.
And then you have doctors who are good at both.
Yeah.
You know, they're knowledgeable and they have great bedside manner. But I guess it is dependent on specialty. And I know a lot of mean neurosurgeons, but I also know a lot of good neurosurgeons. Knowledgeable. I like how you brought up Dr. House. That's kind of a good example, even though he, you know, like you said, a TV show. Well, okay, then let's go. I have this question before I give you the next scenario. This question is like, let's look 10 years into the future with all this AI and this robots and these assistants. I feel like maybe the robots and the AI will cover the knowledgeable part.
Oh yeah.
And you need a human to talk to, and I feel like the doctor would be your human connection as well as your nurses, and the doctor can do and it can do what like the robot kind of or actually he would probably use the robot more of his assistant, obviously.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the robot would have this huge database that Dr. House would have. But now you have two. You have the database that Dr. House has, but you also now have the good bedside manner that like Dr. Shepard would have.
Yeah. That bedside manner part is really going to be emphasized next 10, 20
years.
30 years.
With all this AI.
Yeah, with all the AI. And that's actually one thing that I definitely say future doctors, I mean, even us, we've been working on our communication skills since sophomore year, because we realized that the biggest part of being a doctor is creating that human connection so that your patient is comfortable with you. Because having just the idea of someone relying their life on you, all your decisions, your knowledge, and who you are, they're relying all of that, all of you about their life. So their life revolves around you. It relies on you. And the best way you can provide the best care is if you can communicate with your patient very well and create a human-to-human connection where they feel comfortable with you. Exactly. So that's one skill that I don't know what med schools go through. I'm still a free medical student. We're still both free medical students. But I think that's one thing that a lot of medical schools need to emphasize more of, is that bedside manner. Because, I mean, yeah, you can learn about pharmacology, you could learn about Krebs cycle again. That's useless, but I mean, I think that's where like medical schools, they have those second last years as like clinical experience to gain that part. But maybe there should be more of an emphasis on that, more of that human connection, because I've always wanted that as like patient myself too.
Yeah. And my dad went to a medical school internationally before he came here to the United States. And he said, his med school was 6 years right out of high school, and their like first 2 to 3 years are in the classroom, and the rest of the 2 years. Yeah, he said 2 years are in the classroom, because what they do is they skip all the reading and history and whatnot. And then the last 4 years are clinical. Yeah. But back to the subject, AI. Oh, we have this AI app coming out, so be on the lookout. We'll be releasing it soon. It's a cool project we got going on. All right, now back to the scenario. So let's say we have equal playing fields, and we both have, and you get to choose your doctor. You have a cardiothoracic issue, and you have to choose your cardiothoracic doctor. Okay. Now, the first doctor, terrible bedside manner. Everyone hates to work with him, but he has a 99% surgical success rate, and he has all the answers. And you have a great chance of, surviving with him, just with him.
Yeah.
Then you have doctor number 2. great bedside manner. Everybody loves to work with him. He has a great steady hand, but he needs, let's say, like, if y'all have ever seen Star Wars, he needs these assistant arms and robot and AI to help him. And he also has the same exact success rate. Who would you go with?
They both had the exact same success rate. So what makes them different?
See? Problem solved. Bedside manner. You'd always go with bedside
No. Hold up. That was a terrible scientific experiment. You have been through science since a jit. There's no independent variable. You didn't control the variable.
You don't need to.
That didn't make sense at all. I'm not gonna lie.
It was biased.
Yeah.
I wanted my answer to be correct.
Yeah, I can tell.
Everybody would go, all right, what if we drop it to 70% success?
Well, but that's hard to say because there's so many factors that can go into it. Like, because I guess this is my hypothesis. I don't know the research. I'm just like throwing it out there. But what I think is that if you have a doctor that, has a great bedside manner and makes you feel very comfortable, I think that adds to the healing process because you believe in your doctor and you believe that the procedure will go well. So I feel like that adds to the, like I said, the healing part. So that would add to the survival rate or, the rate.
Yeah, you can't really gauge success rate.
It's really hard. And also the cases that they go through. Like what if the mean surgeon only goes through easy cardiothoracic procedures like fixing mitral valve stenosis, or like an easy cabbage procedure versus what if like the high tech guy, since he has a lot of AI and stuff, he can take care of the big surgeries like a heart transplant or stuff like that. So it's really hard to say that, but I think one thing I do want is I don't want my doctor to be in this mindset of they're just doing this to make money. They're doing this to just get out of student loan debt.
That's the worst, and you can tell too. Yeah. You can tell, and it's just like as soon as you're done, they're always just on top of you about the payment, and it's like it's just not. Like,
they follow up because they have to.
Exactly, like, and then. I hate, and I'm gonna say hate in this, the doctors that or like they roll right through it, and I understand. Okay, I can't just judge him.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's juggling millions of patients probably,
and it's not his fault too. It's also the hospital.
Yeah. So let me take hate back, but I hate the idea he has to do that. That's what I was gonna say. I don't hate the doctor. I can't judge him. I don't know what he's going through.
Yeah.
I'm not. He has no time probably to sit down and talk to a therapist.
It's a system.
It's a system. So he's rolling through these patients, and then by the time he gets to me, he's stressed out.
Yeah.
He's in a bad mood. And he's like, let's go. And I didn't really feel comfortable leaving the hospital, his office. And I'm just kind of a lost patient. I want to go search for a new doctor now, but that doctor doesn't accept my insurance. So it's this big cycle.
Yeah. It's just that mindset that I think a lot of doctors have been going into that whole system too. It's just a lot of our healthcare and those hospitals, they're run by for-profit equities that always just want to pump out money. Now, I'm not saying that all of them are, because like we've taken sides. You can't say absolute words. I mean, it's very difficult to back up that. So I'll just say almost all, or mostly. Most of these hospitals are run by for-profit equities that just want to get dividends, just want to make a profit. They'll find ways to do that. But it's just that system, like I personally am kind of worried that I might get caught in that system too, where I forget the whole reason why I want to become a doctor. I want to become a doctor to, save patients, but also learn more about the human body. It's just an interesting component. Like I always think, like right now, neurons are firing in our mind for me to think about what I'm talking about. And then there's other neurons that are moving my larynx, the
voice box.
Exactly. That creates the voice. It's just a vibration. What I'm saying right now is just a vibration of just sound.
And then you have to process the waves.
And I'm processing your sounds right now going through my brain, and then I'm thinking of another output. That's just crazy. And
It's
our heart is beating on top of all of this. Our kidneys are filtering blood. Our liver is filtering for toxins. Our digestive system is just I just forgot, just blanked out. Our digestive system is like digesting our food. It's crazy.
What else would our digestive system?
I don't know. I was thinking of something else.
Yeah, dude. You know, our cells are maintaining homeostasis as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the gym today and I was just thinking about cellular respiration as I was
crazy.
lifting, like how you just turning that food in the like that's it's this whole big idea. It is such a beautiful thing, and then you got like these tiny stones in your ear that gauge your balance, and it's like it's just designed to be superior than other animals,
Yeah, but then if you think about it, we're also like the human body is also kind of simple and dumb.
It's simple.
Like
yeah,
we can't see infrared, we can't see UV, we can only see visible light. So we can't see the entire world. We're literally blinded by the entire world and what it looks like. We also have to dumbify a lot of things in the world. There's this movie, Lucy, that I saw. It was with Scarlett Johansson
and
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah, because it was so crazy how she was saying that the human mind is so dumb that we have to simplify everything. Mathematics is just a simplification of the universe. Neil deGrasse Tyson says it's the language of the universe. Like, we've simplified everything because although we're the smartest animals on, I think we're the smartest animals on Earth.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, dolphins are like a competition, I think. But we still have to dumbify a lot of stuff. Like, even in OChem, we have to dumbify all of the concepts.
Because we just can't.
We can't comprehend it.
I wonder what I would do if I was on that Lucy drug.
Oh my God,
how
dude!
powerful I could be.
Like,
wasn't she like hacking computers and shit with her brain?
She had 100% access to her brain.
Damn.
Yeah, but that whole myth, I think it's a myth
yeah.
that you can only access like 20% of your brain. I don't think we actually know how much percentage of the brain we can activate, or I don't know if we activate 100%.
Have you? I'm gonna give two examples here. I always love to talk about this. One is like with the strength of the human body. Whenever there's a story of this woman where her car flipped over and her child was like stuck under, and
fight or flight.
Yeah, and then just so much adrenaline that she picks the car up and moves it out of the way to take her child. It's crazy. And the second one is they were doing a tumor removal on a violinist at, I think, Mayo Clinic, and it's crazy because the brain has no pain receptors. So what they did was, in order to make sure everything's working right, they gave him his violin. They told him to play it while they're doing surgery.
Was it a guitar? Because I remember the guitar, or violin, whatever.
There's one with the piano too.
Really?
There's piano. There's violin. I'm sure there's guitar as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about too. But anyway, they open him up, crack the little cranium open, and then he's playing the violin. Everything's going right, and the doctor just kind of looks above, and then he touches something in the brain, and then he stops playing the violin, and then he lets go, and then he's just like going right back to it. It's a crazy video. We need to have a guy like Joe Rogan podcast to pull it up. Hey you,
Jamie, pull it up.
Jamie, pull it up. I'm gonna find it.
No, that's funny, but just talking about that accessing 100% of your brain and stuff, like, I've always wanted to know if there's NZT40 out there.
Ooh.
Like, if there's a drug out there that you just get so productive, but without any of the side effects. Like, he was about to die, but then I think he found like they made a TV series that didn't go so well, but basically, he found like a enzyme that does all the great stuff NZT40 does, but without any of the side effects.
That's lame.
What do you mean?
That's the whole, I don't know, that's just lame. Like, I feel like
I don't want side effects. Have you ever had caffeine? Have you ever been like out of caffeine, like just cold turkey caffeine? It's terrible. That's why I had a headache this entire weekend.
What do you mean cold turkey caffeine?
Like, caffeine withdrawal. That's what it is. Have you ever withdrawn from caffeine?
Yeah.
Oh, then you have not drunk enough caffeine to ever experience the withdrawal symptoms.
No, I mean I can withdraw. You've drinking that much coffee?
Hell yeah. You haven't drank that much coffee?
Well, then just brew a cup, man. Why you?
No.
Why'd you stop?
No. It's an addiction. See, actually, caffeine is funny. Caffeine is one of the only drugs that is very widely used. It's actually one of the only drugs out there that everyone uses. It's like culturally, I guess, appropriate to use. I guess I don't know the correct wording, but it's like one of the drugs where you
more of that?
no, not like that. But what I mean by that is if I drink more caffeine, I'm gonna build a tolerance to that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to continuously increase my dosage. It's gonna increase my heart rate, increase my blood pressure. I can't have that. So sometimes I have to withdraw from caffeine just a little, like a couple milligrams, so I can feel the effects. And that's why this weekend, like, I just had a headache. I was just not feeling it because it was just those withdrawal symptoms. Because basically, I actually made a podcast about this like 2 years ago, and I'm gonna go into a little bit of a spiel over here. So your brain has adenosine receptors, and adenosine is basically this like molecule, ligand that binds to receptor and then promotes tiredness. What caffeine is an antagonist, and it basically forms the same structure as adenosine. So they're basically the same exact thing, but caffeine binds to the receptor, preventing that tiredness from even happening. So caffeine is binding to the receptors that adenosine is supposed to bind to. It kicks him out.
It's mine now.
Exactly. And the body, to respond to that, we still need to sleep. We still need to regulate our circadian rhythm. Yeah. So the body produces more adenosine receptors. Mm-hmm. So then you need more caffeine to take down those adenosine receptors. And it's a continuous cycle. And it's the same thing with all other drugs. It's how the body reacts to drugs. It's that when you increase the dosage, there's going to be more receptors to respond to that, to have to not build a tolerance until you go cold turkey. And with caffeine withdrawal, when there's no more caffeine, there's a crap ton of adenosine receptors, and that's why in caffeine withdrawal you feel very tired. And caffeine is actually a vasoconstrictor. It's actually in one of my like pre-migraine medication that I take. It's like caffeine, aspirin, and acetaminophen. Mm-hmm. But it's a vasoconstrictor, so it constricts the blood vessels. Like you said, there's no brain receptors in the brain, but there are in the meninges. And those blood vessels basically push on the meninges, and that's what creates a headache. So, or at least what we theorize that creates a headache. There's different types of headaches. But without caffeine, there's going to be vasodilation, and those blood vessels are going to be hitting those meninges, and that's what causes that headache.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. It functions the way it needs to function. Yeah, I think. Well, then, why does? Okay, I know. Some people say it pairs very well with nicotine when you mix caffeine and nicotine, because nicotine is nicotine's a big vasoconstrictor.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of models have green tea and cigarettes.
Yeah.
And then, like, I know a lot of working professionals with the Zyn and the coffee, Zyn and the Red Bull. I guess there's a good hit with the caffeine and nicotine mix going on with the extra vasoconstriction. Or is it like I would just call it a peanut butter jelly effect.
I don't know. I honestly don't know about nicotine because I only know so much about caffeine, but not a lot about nicotine. But I do know that both of them do suppress hunger very well. They're actually the closest thing we'll ever get to like a weight loss. Well, actually, we do have it's Ozempic, but those two were the closest we had to a weight loss like booster, I guess you could say. That's a abstract word to say, but it was like the closest thing before Ozempic that we had for a weight loss booster, because they both inhibited hunger. I think it was ghrelin is the hunger hormone. I think it suppresses that. Don't quote me on that, but I think it suppresses ghrelin.
Hungrelin.
Yeah, it's so crazy how we finally got to a drug that results in weight loss, but with like Ozempic.
Ozempic.
But
isn't it originally like a designed for diabetes?
Diabetes, yeah, for diabetic patients. There was actually a point in time where diabetic patients couldn't get it because everyone's getting it for weight loss.
Yeah, it's huge. Like that was like a huge thing. I think one of the political, that was one of the topics for the political debate. I heard.
Oh yeah, I mean
Ozempic.
that was like Eli Lilly, the pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
I think they're. Oh no, Pfizer was the first one to actually market sildenafil into like Viagra because they did the case studies and stuff. But that was like another Viagra moment where Ozempic is supposed to be used for diabetes, but then they found it's for weight loss. So just like sildenafil was used, I think it was for. It was something. I think it was vasodilation or pneumo. It was something respiratory, I think. It was something respiratory, but then they found out that all the patients, all the male patients, they had morning wood, and it was actually really great for ED. They found out. So I mean, they just marketed the crap out of Viagra and made it as a. They found out on accident that it was the side effect was it can actually help with erectile dysfunction.
Oh yeah, I guess since it is a vasodilator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Because it allows more blood flow to the penis, and that's what I think it allows for. Helps with erectile dysfunction.
Oh, that's why. Yeah, that's why Ocho Cinco used to take one before every game.
Yippee!
It'd make him run faster.
Oh! But have you seen the movie Love and Other Drugs? It's with Jake Gyllenhaal and Anne Hathaway.
I'm pretty sure I have, yeah.
So just for you guys who haven't seen it, it's basically a rom-com, but if you really follow through it, it's basically this guy, Jake Gyllenhaal, plays a pharmaceutical rep that is trying to make it with Pfizer, and they actually kind of show how sildenafil, Viagra, like came about, and that's actually how I learned about the whole thing about the sildenafil, Viagra. But yeah, that's a pretty good movie, but I mean, I kind of like even Pain Hustlers. That was an
interesting movie too.
That was so interesting.
It was a good movie too, especially since it was based on a true story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great acting,
And it happened recently, like 2012.
Oh yeah. About with the fentanyl.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Fentanyl is a just huge deal nowadays, and that was another big topic of the political debate.
That's another topic for another episode.
Yeah. It deserves its whole episode.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But yeah, that wraps up our third episode. Just chopping it up about medicine. That's all we can talk about. But that's pretty much it on our side. Hopefully you guys can put some comments down below what else we could talk about.
Yeah,
I mean,
something entertaining or any tips.
I'm gonna be honest, we're kind of losing some ideas. We're just yapping at this point. We're just gonna keep on yapping until you guys actually give us some ideas.
Until we get it going good.
Yep, but anyway, that's all for us. And as always, a Pomodoro day will make you a doctor someday. See you guys in the next one.
See you on the high tide.